Hi there guys, Mark here. Welcome. In today's tutorial, we're going to be tying a relatively advanced paracord dog leash. I definitely only recommend this one to intermediate or advanced knot tiers since the techniques used require some skill but also patience. Now, there are several iterations of this kind of a dog leash already circulating the paracord communities. This is my take on it. I definitely don't claim any credit. It is something that I threw up together with some inspiration from other knot tiers as well. For this project, I'm going to be using 4 strands of Paracord 550, each about 14 feet long. I'm going to find the middle point of my strands, at the middle point, I'm going to move up a bit, maybe clamp the strands together. I'm going to secure the clamp, then braid a length of 4-stranded round braid for the handle. After braiding a sufficient length for the handle, I'm going to fold over my braid like this. I'm going to line up my strands, maybe again clamp them together. I'm then going to tie a gathering knot. In my case, a Matthew Walker knot, but you can use various other knots as well. So the Matthew Walker knot is done by first tying 8 overhand knots. You can see the first one here around all other strands, then the second one, the second one is done just above the first overhand knot. Then the third overhand knot is placed above the first two. and so on until you have used up all of your strands. So a total of 8 overhand knots. With the final 8 overhand knot tied, I'm going to recheck my overhand knots and tighten them up a bit. So what I want is to have the strands lined up one after the other. So the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and 8th overhand knot, one above the other. Next, I'm going to start sliding the bottom overhand knots up towards the top. So the first one is lined up, then the second one, again lined up, the third one, the fourth one, like this. Line up your strands one next to the other. They should not be crossing. Each should be parallel to the others. Square up the knot a little bit, then start very gradually tightening up, making sure that your strands are neatly lined up. dressing the Matthew Walker knot is something that is quite advanced. Doing it nicely and consistently really takes some practice. So after some initial tightening up, I'm going to pull in the strands coming from the handle into the Matthew Walker knot. So I'm going to pull them into the knot and run the slack into the ends. So you do this with all 8 of your strands, just to remove any slack from the handle through the Matthew Walker knot into the ends. Definitely something that you should do. So now the final tightening up process, again making sure that my strands are lined up. So at this point the Matthew Walker knot looks quite nice. We're next going to split our 8 strands, grabbing every next strand. So 4, which are going to form the core for our crowning. So I'm going to place the other 4 out of the way, then braid with the 4 that I picked up, braiding a length of 4-stranded round braid as the core for my crowning. So the same braid as we did for the handle. Here is the initial setup. Then we do our braiding. I'm going to secure the 4 ends again with a clamp. Then we can start our crown knots. So now our crown knots, stacking them one on top the other, is going to form what we call a crown sinnet. We simply run our ends counterclockwise. The first one over the second one over the third one over the fourth one, and the final fourth end passes into the loop created by the first end. So, a basic crown knot. Super easy, one of the basic knots in knot tying. It looks square shaped. Simply tighten up. So the next crown knot is again going to go around our 4-stranded round braid, counterclockwise, one end over the next over the next, the next over the next, and the final end passes into the loop created by the first end. You're going to see me really tightening up these knots so that the crown sinnet is going to keep its shape. The 4-stranded round braid, as you can see, is the core for this crown sinnet. You can see the pattern of the sinnet forming here. Continue for a length that you would like, then we're going to finish up our crown sinnet with a diamond knot. Each strand first passes over, then under. I usually grab my already used ends here at the braid. Then the next end, again over under, and I grab it. The third end, over and under, so into the loop created by the first end. And the final fourth end passes over this strand here, then under the second strand used. So again, over under. We're now going to double up our diamond knot, following this strand with our first end, traveling under here. Grab the next end, double up this strand here. The third end doubles up this strand here. And our final end doubles up the last remaining undoubled strand here. We now continue with the doubling up process, grabbing an end and doubling up this strand here, traveling under 2 at the top. So doubling up the bottom strand, traveling under 2. Grab the next end, same thing. Double up the bottom strand, travel under 2. The next end, double up the strand at the bottom, under 2. And our final end doubles up this strand here, again travels under 2 to the top. So this completes a very basic yet nice looking diamond knot. Square up the knot a little bit, maybe tighten it up if needed. Then unravel the remaining 4-stranded round braid, which was used for the core. And we're going to continue with the herringbone braid. So here is the basic setup. Split your strands into 2 sets of 4. Then weave your first strand over, under 2 over. Weave the second strand over 2, under 2. Weave the third strand under, over 2, under, and weave the final 4th strand under 2, over 2. So this is the initial setup for the herringbone braid. Tighten it up as much as you can. We now braid the 8-stranded herringbone braid. After braiding a sufficient length, we're going to add in a snap hook. I'm going to do this by feeding all 8 of my ends through the snap hook. Then I'm going to fold the herringbone braid over the snap hook, which I'm going to demonstrate shortly. All 8 ends are through. I'm going to pass some of the braid through the snap hook, then fold and capture the snap hook with my braid. I'm next going to splice in my 8 ends into the braid to secure the hook in place. So now the splicing. Basically, each of the 8 ends is going to follow one strand in the braid. So this one, I'm going to use a lacing needle to help me out. So the first one passes on top of this strand, let's say passing under 2. The next end is going to pass on top of the next strand in the braid again under 2. Then the next third end is going to do the same thing. So it's going to travel on top of the next strand, traveling under 2 like the strands before. So now the final fourth strand on this side is again going to travel on top of the next strand in the braid under 2. So once this side is done, we're going to switch to the other side and do the exact same thing with the remaining 4 ends. Starting at the right side, so the right end, traveling on top of a strand in the braid, going under 2. Do the same thing with the remaining 3 strands. As an optional step, we're going to splice the 4 ends furthest back in our braid one more time. Alternatively, you could trim and melt them at this point. With the 4 ends, which were spliced only once, we're going to tie a diamond knot. Wrap around your 4 ends around your splice. Grab your first end, weave through the wrapping cords under over, under over. Grab the second end, pass under the first end, then continue over, under, over. Grab the third end, under the second end, then over, under, over. And our final fourth end, under the third end, then over, under, over. Grab one of the ends, pass it under the next end, then double up this strand on the left, traveling over, then under and over. Grab the next end, same thing. Under the next end, then double up the strand on the left, traveling over, under, over. Now the third end, under the fourth end, then double up the strand on the left, over, under, over. And our final fourth end passes under an already used end. So the first one, then double up the strand on the left, over, under, and over. We are now at our final step. Grab one of the ends, pass under 2, over 2, under 2, and over 2 on the left. Next end, same thing. Under 2, then over 2, under 2, and over 2 on the left. Third end, same thing. Under 2, over 2, under 2, and over 2 on the left. Final end, under 2, over 2, under 2, and over 2 on the left. Our knot is tied. We're going to run the ends under the knot to the right side. Each strand exits over 2 on the left, then passes under the knot to the right side. So again, we exit over 2 on the left, then pass under the knot to the right side. Diamond knot completed. Now, dress it up a bit, tighten it up, Then trim the ends. Roll the knot between two planks. So this usually takes a while to really get a nice looking knot going. So you can definitely see the difference here. Guys, thank you for joining me in this rather lengthy tutorial on a paracord dog leash. I hope you found the tutorial useful and see you next time.